business people who have had exposure to business will be familiar with what we call the SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, oftentimes we do SWOT analysis for that, toothpaste product, or that television launch, or a new smartphone that's going to be launched. Marketing people do these SWOT analysis all the time to understand the strengths and weaknesses and positioning their products. Now, we are going to take those ideas and do it for your own self, where you are able to think critically about what your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are, and how you are using this to further advance your own position in society. So let's begin with strengths and why is it important. Now, to talk about strengths, you all have skills and talents that you have gained from going through your college curriculum or your internships and other professional experiences. We all have skills and knowledge that we have learned. It's important to tell the admissions committee what that is. Now, don't give us a list of who all you have worked with and all of your roles and responsibilities and every course that you have ever taken. That is not what the admissions committee wants to see. The admissions committee wants to see that you are aware of yourself. You are aware of what it is that you bring to the table. So think of it as a job. If somebody is to hire you, why should they hire you? You have to be hired because you're going to bring something unique to the team. So if applying for a graduate program is no different in this regard. They want to see that you're going to bring something to the graduate school. To that extent, they want to know how your education so far and how your experiences so far have shaped you. What skills have you learned? What talent have you gained? These skills can be technical, it can be based on, it can be leadership related, it can be people management, whatever it is. Specifically, if it is related to the program that you are applying for, that's very important for us to know. Do you have unique resources that others cannot access? Now, these may be resources in terms of scientific collaborators or professional mentors. It may be other access to other very niche labs. Like I have had students who have done DST-funded grants, Department of Science and Technology. They have worked on Department of Science and Technology funded grants. They've done research projects with other scientists and published papers. Now those students are studying at Ivy League universities in the United States, right? So we want to know what those unique resources are that you have access to that have shaped your development so far. So don't be shy to put that up front. And oftentimes we are defined by the people we have come to know. So it's very important to think about how other people view us. So don't hesitate to talk to some very close people, people who are very close to you. Now, I don't mean your best buddy who goes out to eat samosas after a game. When I say others who know your strengths, I'm talking about other mentors, your professional supervisors, other colleagues you may have worked with. You may have been a part of some technical or social club in college. According to them, what are your strengths? So don't hesitate to talk to some of your own peers, colleagues, mentors about what they think your strengths are. And do this, of course, before you start writing your SOP, because you want to get a better idea of how you should position yourself to the admissions committee, which comes to our next point. What is your unique selling proposition? Everybody must have a unique selling proposition, because it is this proposition that is going to distinguish you from any other candidate. Many of us go to, CBSE schools. We all attend engineering colleges or so arts and science colleges. We all have very similar backgrounds, but we all don't have experienced the world in the exact same way. Right? We all bring something unique to the table. You must be in touch with what it is that is unique about you. And you don't have to be boastful about it, but be honest about it and see that as your strength, and see how that strength can become a productive contributor to the university that you're going to apply to. The next thing that you want to be very critical about is your weaknesses. In India, we are all spoon-fed. People never say anything bad about us. Everybody wants to. The smallest thing we do is rewarded, or everybody praises the smallest accomplishments that we have. So it's very easy for us to lose focus on our true weaknesses. Because oftentimes we are cushioned. Our fall is cushioned by so many people who care so much about us, maybe too much about us, that we hardly see failure. And failure, if you have experienced it professionally or personally, use it to your advantage, because failure often is a learning experience. We all learn from failure. Nobody learns without failing, whether it is tinkering with electronic components and burning your fingers, or writing a program code that crashes your computer, whatever it may be. We learn from our failures. So be aware of what your weaknesses are, because at the end of the day, you're applying to be a student, and the job of the student is to be a learner, right? If you have no weaknesses, then why do you need to go and learn something? Everybody has weaknesses. Everybody has things they can improve. So be aware of what it is that you need to improve, and make sure you state in your statement that is the reason for going to graduate school. You want to go to graduate school to improve on these XYZ factors, right? So you can convert your weakness into an opportunity for growth from an admissions perspective. So don't hesitate to think critically about failures. Don't hesitate to think critically about knowledge gaps or professional gaps in your development trajectory. Opportunities. Be aware of trends in your industry. Oftentimes, I find college graduates in India have no idea of what trends in the industry are. Today we have, when I went to graduate school, internet was just emerging. We didn't have smartphones. We had internet cafes. We had to spend hours in an internet cafe to get information that was online, which nowadays you students have in the tips of your fingers. Use that tips of your fingers instead of texting friends and sharing fun sound bites all the time. Find out what trends in your industries are. What are the societies or groups or trade magazines in your profession that is giving you information about the direction your industry is moving in. Right? So be aware of trends in your industry. Who are the movers and shakers of your industry? Do you know? Which are the companies that are at the top of the pyramid? What are these companies doing? What are the types of people they are hiring? What qualifications are they looking for? You need to know this, because in knowing what companies are looking for in their employees, you will identify your knowledge gaps and use those knowledge gaps as fodder for your reason to attend graduate school at this time. So go to the employment webpage of perhaps 5 companies that you dream of being employed by. Look at the various job descriptions they have put out. Identify the skills they are looking for and see if you have those skills. If you don't, that's okay, because you're going to apply to graduate school to get those skills, right? So don't hesitate to do your research on the industry and become familiar with the professional world. Now, if you're interested in research, you can do the same in your research field. Identify what your areas of research interests are. Google professors at various universities who are doing research in areas that you're interested in. Email them. Tell them you're interested in doing research in this area. In order to pursue this, how do you need to prepare yourself further? Right? Get into as many online chat forums and online information sessions that you can have access to. So the internet has a lot of resources that you can use in order to identify trends in your industry, movers and shakers of your industry, employment direction. And I say employment direction is because when you look at employment websites of various companies, you can determine the type of skills that are more and more future looking, right? Because you're not preparing for a year from now. You're not going to go to graduate school to be employed 2 or 3 years from now. You're going to graduate school to be employable 10 years from now. So try to see what are you going to need 10 years from now to be employable in your industry. What are they looking for? What are people talking about? What is the direction in which advancement is taking place in your industry? And what are the projections for the future? How do you need to be ready? These are things you need to be talking about when you look at opportunities and how you're going to be prepared for those opportunities. And then we talk about threats. Now, threats, if you're looking at competitors, anybody who is going to apply for admission to that university, that the same university that you're going to apply to, is your competitor. And trust me, they have also done a SWOT analysis, right? So in the immediate hour, your competitors are going to be other applicants. In the future, your competitors are going to be other candidates who are applying for the same job. And even beyond that, as you grow in your profession, your competitors are going to be other product owners or other people who are innovating or doing whatever it is that you will be doing best in your industry. So competition is just the way of life. Oftentimes we are shielded from it or from the reality of it in our home countries, but that's not always the case when we move out of the comfort zone that we have built for ourselves. So be aware that you are operating in a very competitive scape. And in that competitive scape, what are some challenges to your personal advancement or your professional advancement or your academic advancement? Be aware of that. And is graduate study going to fill that gap? Now, oftentimes I have students who come and say, I want to apply for a PhD program, not a master's program, because a PhD program is funded. And I tell students, there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? Applying for funding with a graduate program is the same as applying for a job. If you're going to get paid, you have to deliver something. There is an expectation that you will deliver something. And that something, usually in an academic setting, is research or teaching or some kind of creative endeavor or innovative endeavor, right? So if monetary constraints, for example, are a problem, and that is the reason to apply for a PhD, I'm afraid that reason is not enough to apply for a PhD program, because there is no such thing as need-based funding for graduate studies. All graduate studies are funded either based on your scholarly or professional caliber. If you have the scholarly or professional merit, then students will be funded. If they are funding you, it is because they think that you're very employable on the projects that they have going on, and that you have the potential to contribute to the projects that they have going on. So essentially, your SOP has to convince them that you have a very good understanding of what is going on in their program, and that you are absolutely the one with the skill, talent, and enthusiasm to fill that need. Unless one is successfully proves that, it will be very, very difficult to get funding at a master's or PhD level. Right? So that is something I wanted to make very clear upfront. But other things like technological changes may be threatening your position in your current professional scape. If you understand that, do not hesitate to acknowledge it, because graduate program is the best place for you to technically upgrade yourself or upgrade your management skills. These are perfectly good reasons for you to pursue graduate study, as long as the coursework, the advanced coursework, is going to help you with your future goals and aspirations. It is a very reasonable rationale to pursue graduate study at this time. Funding alone is not. So in doing this process, try to see if there are any other constraints to your goal achievement. And if you know what they are, you can use your weaknesses as well as your threats as the areas of growth through a graduate program, and therefore the need of the hour is for you to pursue graduate studies.
Thank you so much for listening to us. Do comment your opinions down below. Also, if you find it useful and relevant, do subscribe to our channel as well. For more details, feel free to get in touch with us.